Hey, everybody. We are back with the Bad Iron Podcast, November 30th, 2024. Glad everyone, or hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful Black Friday, and now we're off to an amazing weekend of football. I can't wait for today and tomorrow in the NFL. The games so far have been great this week, but I'm on the IR today, sitting down in the kitchen. Threw my back out a little bit, bringing all the Christmas decorations down on Thanksgiving. So right now I've got a ice pack on my back. So if you see me cringing or screaming in pain, you'll know why. Not to be sharing too much, but I even had it was so bad yesterday. My wife had to not only get me out of bed or help me get out of bed, but she had to dress me pretty much. But that's her job. She works in senior living. She used to be a nurse. So she's probably dressed up a lot of old fat men like me. So she was used to it, but I felt bad because she shouldn't have to bring her work or come home and have to do that when she does it at work all the time. But anyway, got the Advil on board. My best friend, the last 24 hours, the ice pack is in place, and we're ready to talk some stuff. Just get some stuff off my chest. We're going to talk about the college slate of games today, which in my opinion is the best slate of college football games of the year until we get to the playoffs in a couple of weeks. But um, we're going to talk through a lot of stuff today. So November 30th is significant for a couple of things. In 1954, the first kidney transplant was done. I hope I never need one of those on this day. Winston Churchill was born on this day. Mark Twain was born on this day. I don't really know anybody else that was born on this day, but I did look those up. But to me, the most significance about this day is not those things. It's not a kidney transplant or a big birth. It's St. Andrew Day. My name is Andrew, aka Andy, if you didn't know that. It's St. Andrew Day. And I had never really looked up who this person was, who St. Andrew was. He's the patron saint of Scotland. Maybe that's why I want to go to Scotland so bad. Or maybe it's the pubs and the golf. But I started looking it up and thinking, what does my name mean? I don't even know it. I don't think I've looked this up before. But Andrew means in Greek manly or masculine. And the root of the word means strength, courage, and virility. I'm not sure I know what virility is, but I don't think it's something I have much of. Of course, when I think about it, do I even have strength or courage? The four words that came up were courage, courage. I guess I'm courageous to do this podcast and keep doing it since I don't really have many people listening. That's courageous. Valor. Oh, I mean, I cheer for my football teams. Is that valor? Maturity. I definitely don't have that. And the other one's dignity. Not sure I exude that. So my name really doesn't fit me, or at least Andrew doesn't. So I thought I'd look into what Andy means. Maybe that's what everybody calls me. Nobody calls me Andrew, even though that's my given name. The only time I hear myself called Andrew was when my mom was alive, and if she called me Andrew, nothing good was about to happen. Usually it was Andrew Michael, get over here. And that was usually meant I did something like these are true stories, by the way. When I was a kid, I not only I totaled a car at the age of 4. Yes, that's a true story. I totaled a car at the age of 4, Toyota Camry, or a Toyota of some kind. I even remember doing it. It's been 48 years ago, and I still remember doing it. Maybe that's another story for another podcast. I half burned our neighbor's house down. That's a true story too. I think I was 7 at the time, and my parents never found out about that one until I confessed when I was maybe 18 or 19. They just thought it was a random fire. I was playing under the bushes at their house, and the bushes were pretty dry, and I liked to play with fire. It didn't go so well for me. So I ran in and got a glass of water, and I thought that would be enough to put the fire out. And by the time I came back outside, the flames were halfway up the house. So I just ran inside and said, "Hey, the neighbor's house is on fire." Oh, darn, let's call the fire department. That was interesting, but I didn't get in trouble for it. So, hey, if the neighbors know who I am and are listening to this, that's not likely. Sorry about that. So, I don't know how I got off on this topic, but I guess it was because my mom would call me Andrew Michael when I did something bad. I remember hitting golf balls out of my backyard, and I would hit them. We lived on a hill, and I would just drop balls in our yard and hit a pitching wedge just to see how far I could hit it over the house behind us. Oh, and by the way, there were houses on the other side of that. That was just another street. So who knows how many windows I took out or cars I hit with golf balls. That was me. I also put divots in the yard. Dad found out about that. I don't think that didn't go over too well. I was a good golfer back in those days, so I took divots and hit the ball pretty good. I do remember shanking one, and it went right into our neighbor's bay window. I didn't get in trouble for that one. I don't think they ever found out, but I wonder if they ever found that golf ball. Those were fun days. I remember those days vividly. There was another incident that I had when I was younger that I'll save for another day, but it was basically covering my parents' best friend's car in mud. I did that too. A few other things, but anyway, Andrew Michael. So don't it's never good when I hear the name Andrew. So maybe it's good that that doesn't suit me. Mom, rest in peace. She used to call me Andrew when I got in trouble, like I said, and then the other time you hear Andrew is when the debt collector's calling you or something, and I don't want to hear that either because they're calling me by my full name. So let's see what Andy means. Andy means laid back, casual, warm, and easygoing. That's a little better. I think that suits me a little bit more. I'm not always laid back. I'm pretty much always casual. I don't know how warm I am. I'm warm because I'm wearing this nice Kansas City hoodie at the moment. I think I'm easygoing for the most part, except that one time on Friendsgiving when I got a little bit out of control. But anyway, back to the patron or Saint Andrew. He was Jesus's first disciple. He was first chosen, not just because he's alphabetical. He was martyred in Greece, where he was crucified on an X-shaped cross, which is now known as the St. Andrew's Cross. I've got to get one. I'm going to get one. And a matter of fact, I looked up and the Scotland flag has that cross on it, which I had never known the significance of that, but it's because of patron St. Andrew or St. Andrew, the patron saint of Scotland. So I'm going to look up more on that, but I just thought that was pretty interesting. So anyway, that's the significance of today. The significance of yesterday was Black Friday, as everyone knows. And I didn't really know much about Black Friday except the fact that when I got up and I saw the news at 6 a.m. this morning in Nashville, there was already a line 3 miles long to get to the mall. Sorry, not for me. I understand you might be able to save a few bucks, but I'll do my shopping online. So we avoided all shopping yesterday. Didn't even go to the grocery, just ate leftovers. But that's Black Friday is still significant and important to a lot of people. So I looked up some fun facts about that just because I don't really know much about Black Friday. I didn't know that it originally was started from the Army Navy football game, which always used to happen, I guess, back in the mid 1900s. It was happening in Philadelphia on the day after Thanksgiving. And the police actually coined that term, Black Friday, because people would flood the streets and for that game, and tourists would flood the city of Philadelphia, and they called it Black Friday. I think because of the traffic and the stores being so crowded. So some things on Black Friday I didn't really know. About 60% people shop online now, but that means that 40% still go to the stores. I guess that's not that crazy, but I can't imagine what it was like before online shopping when everybody went to the store. I do remember sometimes though the lines out in front of Best Buy would be huge. Did y'all see that cat? I didn't see anything. In last year, what I looked up is that $9 billion was spent approximately just online Black Friday. So anyway, I avoid it. I even avoid because the deals go on through. Now we have Cyber Monday. There's probably going to be a Cyber Tuesday or Tasty Tuesday or something that's going to be a part of the shopping spree. So I don't buy into it. I didn't buy anything yesterday except breakfast uh, at some point or brunch. So I'm not buying any of that stuff. So I'm going to put a poll up though because I'm curious about what you guys do. Or you shop online? Do you do anything on Friday? Do you go to the store? Do you get up early and go to Kmart? What are you doing on Black Friday? So that's a little bit about St. Andrew, which I am going to hopefully next time have a St. Andrew's cross. I think that would be cool to signify my name. Maybe someday we'll talk about all those antics that I mentioned when my mom would call me Andrew Michael, and I would get the switch or have to pick out my own switch to see how that would go. Oh, there was another one I forgot to mention. It's kind of bad that I did, and I don't know why I do this. I'm an animal lover, but when I was around 5 or 6, we had puppies. Our dachshund had little baby puppies, they're little babies, of course, but puppies, and we were going to sell them, but they were still, I guess, being weaned. I put them in the refrigerator. Not sure why. I put them in the little cubby hole in the refrigerator. Luckily, my mom was home and she found them in the drawer alive. They had peed all over the refrigerator, but they were alive, probably cold. Some of you might think, man, that's psychotic behavior, but I am proof that you can be a troublemaker as a kid and still turn out okay. That's me knocking on wood. I'm not psychotic. I don't have any psychological issues that I know of. Anyway, enough about that. Those are all true stories. Maybe we can talk about someday. I got a little buddy here by me. I'm like Kirk Herbstreit today. I've got my little golden retriever right here. Her name is Kaya. Let's wave hi to the camera. There she is. Hi. She's waving to the camera. She's my little snuggle baby. Got another one that's outside in the freezing cold right now named Rio. She's a white one. Well, you just want to be on TV, don't you? Can you give me a kiss? Oh, thanks. That's a good girl. Maybe she'll become famous. Yeah. You people listening, hope maybe you can hear the licking if you're not watching this on YouTube. Okay, good girl. That's my girl right there. She's giving me some good iron instead of bad iron. Right, Kaya? Yeah, she's giving me good iron. I don't know what the deal was with that black cat, but that might have been black iron. I don't know. So let's talk about some football. I'm going to run through some games today. Like I said, it's my favorite day, football of the year. Not always an easy day to make picks because it's rivalry and you never know who's going to show up and who really doesn't care. But you get conferences colliding in a lot of instances. These matchups go back a long way. Generally, most of them do. One of them today is reinvigorated because of the SEC merge. But hopefully, you listened to my podcast before Thanksgiving and had the parlay I gave you on that day. It wasn't a great one, but it paid about 2-1, and it was hit pretty easily. But surprisingly, Detroit was the closest of the three games. I thought when they jumped out to a 16-point lead, I thought they were going to cruise and win that game. And Chicago blew it again and then subsequently fired Matt Eberflus. We're going to talk about that in a minute. One of the tips that I like to give that I have given this year that came through already once. We're going to look for that next week. But let's start with some of the college games. There are huge games today. Big one. Usually this is the biggest game of the day. Game day's not even here. And that's Michigan at Ohio State. Michigan, not just a disappointing year, but I believe it's been a supremely disappointing year for the defending champions. Losing Harbaugh obviously was a big part of that. Probably lost a lot of recruits, probably lost some other people to the portal. I don't know. I don't have all those stats, but Ohio State is playing for a bye in the playoff today. Presume if they win and Oregon win, I believe they'll play in the Big Ten championship next week with Oregon. That'll be an amazing game, a rematch of a game earlier this year that Oregon barely squeaked out in Oregon. But I don't, Michigan has played relatively decent football as of late. So this is not a game I'm just picking this game because it's one of the biggest games of the day. and I'm going to take Michigan to cover the 19 points. It might be 17. I think they'll show up in a rivalry game. Yes, Ohio State has to win the game, but they crushed Indiana last week, and I did give you guys that one, but I don't think Indiana is that much better than Michigan. They barely beat Michigan at home a few weeks ago. I think Michigan will show up in this rivalry game. They'll have some fire. The defense will play better. They'll play well. They've had some surprising games this year. So let me take Michigan plus 19. If it goes up beyond that, I'm going to wait and see if it goes up anymore. I wouldn't take it if it was 17 or less, but I'm going to see if it goes up beyond that. Tennessee plays Vandy. Not a huge rivalry game. Vandy in football been really good this year, but have struggled of late. Not really struggled, but just competition got tougher, and it's tough today. Vandy, not this is not a home field advantage, so it's Tennessee at Vandy here in Nashville. That means nothing. Uh, there's no doubt in my mind there'll be more Tennessee fans in that tiny stadium than Vandy fans. Vandy's getting 11 points, basically on a neutral field. To me, I think Vandy covers that. I think they're good enough to keep it close. Tennessee is not the Tennessee of last year where they put up 50 bombs on you every week. They could put up 50 today. I don't think they will. I just think this game's going to be a little closer. Vandy's going to be fired up to play this game. Tennessee is great, great line game, can control the line of scrimmage, but that would lead itself to be a lower scoring game. So I'm going to take Vandy plus the 11 here. That's two underdogs so far. Another big rivalry game that's outside of conference happens every year. South Carolina at Clemson. This game generally generates a surprising outcome a lot of times. There's been some big spreads in this game where the underdogs have either covered or won, and that's usually South Carolina. This time it's a small underdog. Clemson's favored by 3. I like South Carolina not only to cover, but possibly win this game outright. It's not just the fact that I think South Carolina is really good. Clemson's down a little bit this year, but I think the SEC is really good, despite all the talk about a lot of the top teams like Alabama and Georgia losing games and that kind of talk. I do believe the SEC is deeper this year, which the teams like Florida and South Carolina are better than the mid-range teams of the SEC typically are. And a lot of that probably has to do with the portal. The money that's coming into the SEC now is crazy. I think that helps to spread out some of the talent with the portal and the transfers that can happen so quickly and so easily. I won't get off on that too much, but I just think South Carolina is a really good team. And I think they're going to not only cover the spread of the 3 points, but they're going to win at Clemson today. Notre Dame's going to USC, another classic game. Notre Dame's going, in my opinion, I think Notre Dame's going to kill them. It's a 7.5 point spread. If it goes down to 7, I'm definitely going to take that one. I think Notre Dame is 3 touchdowns better than USC. That's not meaning I think they're going to win by 3 touchdowns. Again, I don't think USC will have that big of a home field advantage here. I think Notre Dame has got to really secure their spot in the playoff after that Northern Illinois weird game earlier this year. Notre Dame looked great last week against Army, an undermatched Army team that I missed on that one, by the way. So give me Notre Dame minus a 7.5 at USC. Next, we're going to go to another ACC game that normally I wouldn't play, but I've played a lot against Miami this year, and I've played a lot on Syracuse. Now they're playing each other. Miami looking to get a top 4 seed, playing at Syracuse. Miami is an 11-point favorite. That's a lot of points on the road in any game at the end of the year. Yes, I know Miami's really good. I don't think their defense is very good. I think they can give up a lot of points. And this is a situation that Syracuse has a good quarterback. They have a good enough offense to keep up with Miami. And this is another one where when you take the excuse me, take the underdog, you have a chance of getting that backdoor cover. If it's a 28-14 game, Syracuse has the ball late, they're going to try to score. Miami's going to be in prevent. Syracuse goes down and scores. They may still lose the game, but they get the cover. So give me Syracuse plus 11, another underdog. So far, I think I've picked 4 underdogs and 1 favorite. This next play is just a hunch play. Cal plus 14 at SMU. SMU playing for a playoff spot as well. Only loss was to BYU earlier in the season. I just think SMU is going to, I have a hunch about this one that California is going to cover the 14. SMU may still win. I think SMU might be feeling some pressure. I might regret this one later. I'm not making this one of my picks. Just saying I have a hunch about this one. Normally, I don't follow my hunch. I just have a hunch that Cal's going to give them a game. SMU is going to feel a little bit of the pressure of trying to make the playoffs. Auburn, Alabama. Can't wait for this. Iron Bowl. Almost always is a great game. Almost always. And I'll never forget the missed kick by Alabama returned by Auburn to win the game. I don't even remember what year that was, but that's one of those that, I don't forget where I was. That was incredible to watch. Auburn has been playing much better football. I think they're figuring it out. They're 12-point underdogs. It's at Alabama. Alabama, don't know what happened to them at Oklahoma. They pooped the bed 24-3. I do think they'll bounce back. Maybe last week they were looking ahead to the Iron Bowl. I don't know. That was stupid if they were, but they're not coached by Saban anymore either. So I think Saban would have had them ready for that Oklahoma game last week. But give me Auburn getting 12 points in a rivalry game anytime. I know the records and the teams look like it should be a mismatch, but I don't think it is. Give me Auburn plus 12, and I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn won this game. Later tonight, Washington at Oregon. My Oregon Ducks, actually my wife's Oregon Ducks. We'll have the flag out today, posting the duck on the house. Oregon's, to me, coming off a bye, looking ahead to Ohio State worries me in the Big Ten playoff game, or yeah, Big Ten championship game. I just think Oregon minus 18. I think that's a tricky line that Vegas is putting out there. I'm going to take Oregon minus the 18 after a bye week. They should be completely healthy. Washington, this is usually a close game, but Washington's usually better. So I don't like to take big favorites, but I'm taking Oregon in this one minus 18. I think they win by at least 3 touchdowns. Huge game. Well, we'll wait for that one. Let's go to West Virginia, Texas Tech. This is another kind of a hunch game. West Virginia plays good on the road. They're getting 3.5 points. Some places it's 3. I like 3.5 at Texas Tech. I think West Virginia has been an up and down team this year. They definitely have, but I think they have it enough to get past the plus 3.5 and make this a close game. Give me West Virginia plus 3. I'm going with this next game, UNC, North Carolina versus NC State. Disappointing season for North Carolina. Mac Brown is out as the coach after this game, unless there's a bowl game. I don't know if they're going to make a bowl or not. But I'm taking UNC here. I think they play for Mac Brown. He's an emotional type of coach. They're only 2.5 point favorites at home against NC State in a rivalry game. Give me North Carolina minus 2.5 for Mac Brown in that game. LSU at home at night versus Oklahoma. I just mentioned Oklahoma trouncing Alabama last week, 24-3. I think that's an anomaly. That did get Oklahoma Bowl eligible. They were coming off a bye that week. Not sure what happened in that game. LSU has played like poop most of the last several weeks, but they're at home in their final game at night, -6 against Oklahoma, who's going to be in for a little bit of a rude awakening, I think, in a night game at LSU. Give me LSU -6, another favorite. 2 big games left to go. We got Texas A&M versus Texas. I just gave you Kentucky versus Texas last week and covered that spread barely, but covered it. And Texas A&M at home. I think the winner of this game goes to the SEC championship. Texas loses. I still think they're in the playoff regardless. They may not get a bye, but they'll be in the playoff even if they lose. A&M is a very difficult place to play at night, and they're getting 5.5 points. That's going to go down. I'm telling you. I'm guessing it will go down, and the money will go on Texas, or at least the line will move towards Texas. I'm sorry, towards Texas A&M. So give me 5.5 Texas A&M at home versus Texas. I think they can win this outright. Texas A&M has not been that great, but I think that 12th man, not sixth man like basketball, that 12th man can help push Texas A&M over Texas. Last but definitely not least is the game you've all been waiting for, the highest ranked game that's going to play today at 12 Eastern, 11 Central. And that's Louisville at Kentucky, the big game of the day. Kentucky is not bowl eligible for the first time in 8 years, which I said a few weeks ago. That's the third longest streak in the SEC. They will no longer have that. Louisville is a 4.5 point favorite coming in to Commonwealth Stadium, aka Kroger Field. I'm going Kentucky to win this game outright. This is the game they're going to get up for. There's going to be some turnover after the season at Kentucky, that's for sure. But I think they can put it together. They're going with the freshman quarterback, Cutter Boley, who came in against Texas and looked very good in the second half last week, which means Louisville doesn't have a lot of tape on Cutter Boley. I think they come in fired up and put it to Louisville and win this game outright. Give me Kentucky. I'm going to take the 4.5 points that you're giving me, Vegas, but I think Kentucky can win this game outright. So we're going to go to a few NFL games. Watch the weather this time of year and all these games, by the way. Snowstorms, windstorms, all those things, nor'easters matter in these games big time. I think there may be some issue with the Buffalo game. I haven't really seen the final forecast, which can change so quickly. So that's one to watch out for. So watch the weather this time of year. Already gave you on the Twitter account, already gave you the Raiders plus 13.5 yesterday against my Chiefs. Chiefs always are in one score games. How is Vegas not figuring this out? Come on, Vegas. People must have been betting the Chiefs minus 13. That was just throwing money away. They're not going to beat anybody by 2 touchdowns this year. They could play Kentucky and not win by 2 touchdowns. They still win on a last second field goal. Or Kentucky would fumble in that weird penalty at the end of the game. Gave you that one. Watch the weather. Pitt at Cincinnati is the first game I'm going to look at. And I'm not going to bet the line. Cincinnati's favored by 3, but I'm the win of the game, win bet of the day, if you can find it, is that there will be a fight in this game. And I guarantee you there will be at least 3 personal fouls. This game is, these teams do not like each other. They never have in the past. It's going to be cold in Cincinnati, so people are going to be grumpy. If I can bet that there'll be a fight in the stands, there definitely will be a fight in the stands. I promise you that. At least one. Cincinnati fans will be cold and drunk and grumpy because they've not been good this year, and they're going to be mad because Burrow wore another pink jumpsuit to the game. It's just going to be ugly. And I'm betting penalties, personal fouls over 3. Mark it down. Personal fouls over 3. I don't know who's going to win this game. Cincinnati's favored by 3. I think it's going to be a slobber knocker, but Cincinnati does have a pretty good offense. We'll see if they can do it against this Pitt defense. But game to watch. It'll be fun. I'm also going to look at the Patriots hosting Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson. Drake May is playing a lot better in New England. You talk about cold. I think it's going to be really cold there. So I'm going to take Patriots getting 3 points at home against Indianapolis. I usually like Indianapolis when they're an underdog. I don't like them when they're a favorite. And I don't think Anthony Richardson is going to be able to put up another good game like he did last week. So give me the Patriots plus 3. My own hometown team here, Tennessee, is at Washington. Watch the weather in this one. Also watch the quarterbacks in this one. I think I'm going the over 40. I'm not going to think. I am going to go the over 44 in this game. I think Tennessee's offense has been sparked recently with Will Levis. I think Washington's defense struggles to score. I'm sorry, trouble struggles to stop people from scoring, which is going to help that Tennessee offense. And the Tennessee defense is going to allow points to Jaden and that Washington offense. So watch the weather, watch Jaden's health. If he's out, I wouldn't play this, but otherwise I'm going to take over 44. I think the number's too low. They go over. And I think it might be a pretty close game, actually, as a matter of fact, but not touching the spread there. Big game is the Ravens versus Philadelphia Eagles. But I'm going to skip to the Buffalo Bills versus the 49ers. Before the season started, a lot of people might have thought this might be your Super Bowl. Super Bowl losers typically have bad years the next year, and the 49ers are doing the same. 49ers are no Brock Purdy. I do believe that Bosa's out as well. 2 huge losses going into Buffalo. Watch the weather. Buffalo's going to win this game by -6 or more. If the weather's nasty, just watch out for that. That doesn't really favor San Francisco at all, but that means the score will be lower probably, and therefore could just be a lot more running game. Maybe look at the under there, but you want to watch the weather in this game. But if the weather's somewhat normal, I'm going Buffalo -6 over San Francisco without those 2 big starters for the Niners. And then the Ravens hosting Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this could also be your Super Bowl. 2 teams that may be playing the best football right now, along with Detroit, who looked vulnerable against Chicago. But These two teams have looked unstoppable here in the last couple of weeks with Ravens going to Chargers and just putting it on them. I didn't think that would happen. The Chargers are a good team. So in Buffalo, I'm sorry, the Ravens, Baltimore -3 at home against Philadelphia. That's the way I'm going on this one. I think the Baltimore offense is a little too good for that Philadelphia defense, and their defense is just good enough. Now Justin Tucker scares me because he's having some kind of crisis with his kicking leg. But I do think Baltimore covers it. If it goes to 2.5, I definitely like it. But I'll even take the -3 there. The one to watch out for before I close is next week. Chicago fired their coach, Eberflus. They play the 49ers next week at San Francisco. Remember the stat I gave you a few weeks ago when New Orleans fired their coach, how successful interim coaches are in their first game out, not only against the spread, but winning outright, which the Saints did. They were 3.5-point underdogs after they fired their coach earlier this year, and they came out and won the next game outright. And I gave that to you right here on the Bad Iron Podcast. Keep an eye out. We'll talk about it again, but the quicker you get it, the better line you're going to get, because I'm not the only one that knows this. It's public knowledge. You can go Google it. But watch out. Chicago will be a heavy underdog at San Francisco next week. And that makes me want to root for San Francisco so that the number will be higher that we can get when that line comes out. The line won't come out until after Sunday, I don't think, after Buffalo and San Francisco play. And hopefully it comes out early. Hopefully Purdy's back and they have everybody healthy, and we'll take Chicago next week. That's it for the Bad Iron Podcast today. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you on the flip side.